All right, guys. My name is Cory Williams, and I want to introduce you and welcome you to the Producers Playbook podcast. I'm a full-time agent. I have been since 2018 in the Seattle area in Washington State. And of course, I have Mr. Jared Smith, former Super Bowl champion out of Texas. What's up, Jared?
What's going on? I'm Jared with Pro Football Realty Team with Killer Williams, and we been battling to try to get this thing up and going. So this is exciting that we finally got everything to work.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a lot of errors over the past, I don't know how many times have we done this, like at least three, maybe four.
At least.
But no,
Yeah, it's
super excited
been
to kick this off, man.
yeah,
Yeah, our
yeah,
whole intentionality behind this
agreed.
is to get a relationship going, not only with us, but with a bunch of agents nationwide. So that way there's a place and a platform to connect a little bit.
Yeah. We are wanting to create a conversation slash tool for other agents to share ideas, like a mastermind,
Yep,
if
for
you
sure.
want to say. Yep.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
and I
think
think
it's
it's just ultimately a place for a ton of agents to try and connect. I mean, between your and I conversation, but as well as the off-platform group that we have in the Skool community as well. So that way I think there's a lot of ideas and
yeah,
things that we can bounce off each other, as well as mention things that work for you, working for me. Obviously, different parts of the country, you're going to have a few specifics. There's going to be things that are working for you that are just simply not going to work for me in my market. And really just how do we leverage that? Jared, I think let's just go ahead and kick it off and just do a quick intro about yourself, how you got into real estate, how long you've been in real estate, all that kind of good stuff.
I've been, this will be 10 years coming up, a decade. It's been a while. I feel
That's been a
old when I
while.
say that.
You are old,
Um,
don't worry.
but dude, I'm telling you, it's definitely hitting you harder though. We'll
I'm
say
older
this.
than you, so it should.
I know. Yeah, I got into real estate originally I played for the Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Falcons, Dallas Cowboys. After I retired with Dallas, I decided to get into real estate. Jerry Jones was a huge motivation factor behind it because I saw how successful he was. We had a lot of conversations during lunches and stuff like that. We would definitely talk. He's a super down to earth guy. And Stephen Jones and all those guys, same kind of thing. And I got in there and started doing real estate just for myself. But one thing's led to another is that a lot of people were interested about using me as a realtor, which didn't really come to me at first. It wasn't my goal. It that happened, and it boomed into this unworldly thing I never thought it would kind of grow into. And
For sure.
so it's been a blessing for sure. It's been a lot of learning experiences and working with tons and tons of buyers and sellers. It's definitely a job you have to have passion for. And
100%.
and I do. I love it. I really do.
Yeah. I think
So
that that's
yeah,
honestly
that's what I've
with
been doing.
everything. If you don't have a passion for it,
Yeah.
you're going to fizzle out and it's not going to be enjoyable in any way, shape, or form. Burnout's a real thing. And if you
Yeah.
don't have passion, you're going to burn out really quick. And I think that one of the biggest things that make being an agent successful or not is you're either a self-employed employee or you're a business owner. And I
Yeah.
think those two differences are going to make or break your career.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit something more established versus when you first start off. Because obviously, when you first start off, you're in that
Yeah.
building phase and you're putting in foundation, and hopefully, you're trying to put in some processes and some standard operating procedures so that way what you're doing is repeatable
Agreed.
at some point in time.
Yeah.
But if you don't transition into what a business owner and what their roles and responsibilities are, you're
Yeah.
just going to be a self-employed employee.
Yeah. I totally agree. The one thing that kind of made me get into real estate, it kind of the one thing that kind of got stuck with me in real estate is the fact that the championship mindset you have of it. That is a huge driving factor of what attracted me to it. Because it's weird to say, I always value competition. I value, as a professional football player, we're always taught that there's a lot of people on the team, but there's only 11 starters. The backups, free agents, they're all fighting and clawing their way to the table trying to get a piece of that food. And that's how I kind of see this. And it definitely is that. And it just kind of stuff like that attracts me because I like a challenge. I like competing,
Yeah.
and it gives me that in a weird way.
Yeah, it gives you that little bit of a
And
pump, right?
yeah, no, for real, it does.
Yeah, and I mean, with you mentioned that
But
championship
I mean,
mindset. What I guess as far as a few
yeah.
major things that you've done, I guess, in that championship mindset, as far as going back to football, give us a quick rundown of what that looked like, how long you were in it, because you mentioned some of these free agents and some backups, and that wasn't you when you played.
I mean, I definitely experienced both sides of it. Did I play? Yeah. I unfortunately was dealt with injuries throughout my career. So I know what the IR looks like, and watching them play. It's a crappy feeling. I know, yeah, I've been on both sides of it. I've been through it all. I know what it's like getting cut. I know what it's like winning. I know what it's like being on the sideline when you're injured. You want to be out there to help, but you can't. I've been on both sides of it. It was challenging because my mindset, if I'm not out there with them, if we win, I didn't get that good feeling of, wow, we won. I
Yeah,
wasn't
I
a
could see
part of it.
that. Yeah,
So it's just having that mindset of just, I don't know, just being out there and just being your best. And just like I said, I've been on both sides of it. So I know what
yeah,
it's like to win a Super Bowl. I know what it's like to win the NFC Championship. So I know what it's like to win. It feels good.
yeah.
But I also know what it's like to lose. I
Right.
think that's the biggest thing that I tell a lot of realtors, that there is no success if you don't lose. You have to understand what losing is before you can understand what winning is. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of people go into this business trying to win every single time, and the reality of that is just, it's not true. You just can't. There's always
yeah,
going to be failures in there, but it's
dude,
learning from those
100%.
mistakes. Yeah. In the NFL, we watch film study against our opponent going into the week, and we'll study those people 40 hours a week. We would watch so much film.
Yeah,
And that's how I kind of look at it like this. So you're working with a buyer or seller that you're trying to prepare, and then trying to get a game plan together and trying to get hired. I mean, it's the same kind of feeling, same kind of thing, but at the end of the day, you got to know what you're doing, and you have to have knowledge of it.
yeah,
You've
for
seen
sure.
experience. You have to be competitive with other people. But football for me was a big, getting my foot in the door with a lot of people. It's a huge icebreaker, especially here where I am at in Texas, especially playing with Dallas. It's a huge icebreaker. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but I utilize it in my own way.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it'll be silly to say I don't use it. Of course I use it. Because again, this is sales. We're all competing. But I took something that was unique to me, and I marketed it to attract people that kind of have that interest in there about football or something like that, to just get my foot in the door. All I need is my foot in the door. Like, my mindset is, if I get my foot in the door, I have a really good chance.
yeah,
And
for
football
sure.
does help. So
Yeah, and I
I
think a
tell
big
people to
piece
get,
of
find something that,
oh, yeah, I think there's a little bit of a delay. I think you mentioned before when I guess kind of going back to that championship mindset and all the hours that you put in off field. And you take a look at that and then you equate that into your real estate career. And it's almost the same thing where if you're not putting in the reps and the time and the education and the practices and all this kind of stuff before you get in front of a potential client, you're going to fail every single time. It really goes back to that same thing where if there's so many agents out there that practice on their clients and they lose 99.9% of the time because they just think that like transactions or deals or someone's going to want to work with this individual because they're likable or whatever the case may be. Someone has charisma and they think they're automatically going to get this deal, but if you're not doing the practices, and if you're not doing your skills and continuing education and all these additional things, you're going to get put in front of clients and they're not going to hire you just because you're likable. Does that happen every now and then? For sure. Honestly, it usually doesn't go very well at the end of the day, but all that time and effort,
Agreed.
when it's not game time, what I call a practice, I'll equate that to game time. When you meet with a client, I'll equate that to game time. All your additional practice that
Yeah,
you have before then is what's going to lead up to making sure that you are successful during an appointment, or equate that to a game, right?
I definitely agree. I just think it's like the whole point of what we're doing is just trying to provide insight for people who are plateauing or just out of ideas or just wanting to kind of mastermind with other people from around the US and find out what works and what doesn't, because they can leverage something that we say or we use into something that they can utilize and see if it works for them. If not, it doesn't. But
Yeah.
again, we're joining minds here and figuring out, hey, what else is out there that I can do
Yeah.
utilize to be
100%.
successful or get that one step? Because I've seen a lot of realtors where they plateau and they try something new and it just took them to a whole nother level.
And so much of it is they don't know what they don't know. And it's the same thing for us as we're working our way through the industry. But I think that's a key metric to look at is, what do you do to,
Yeah.
and that's why I think this industry has such a high failure rate, is because there's so many people that go through the day to day with that delayed gratification that are successful. Because when you're doing your work today, you're probably not going to see a return on it for 3 to 6 months. It's going to be whoever can handle the objection, handle the failure, be told no the most, and still just continue to do the things that you need to do every single day. And if you can't get
Yeah.
around that, you'll never make it in this career. Or honestly, I don't even know what business you would be able to make it in, just because that's what success
Yeah. I
is.
mean,
It's pushing
I
through
agree.
the nose.
Yeah. I think a lot of agents have a hard time understanding the actual timelines of things because, like you said, some things could take 3 to 6 months, but most of the stuff I've dealt with, I don't know if it's just where I'm at, it's a year or two. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of people I sell houses to that don't buy until another year or so. But I'm prepping myself for that following year by meeting people and networking with people that are wanting to sell a house or something like that to a point where, you know, if they do contact me, most of that stuff, when they do say, hey, Jared, I'm ready to roll, is in a year or two. And
Yeah.
so you're lucky to get something that's sooner. But again, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And
It
I
was the
see a
same
lot of
thing.
that down here in Texas. It takes a while.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. I appreciate the quick intro. I'll do just a quick background story of myself. I did not play professional ball. The closest thing I did was play in a men's flag football league for a couple summers. So not quite as cool as you. I never played against Tom Brady, or I don't have any real rings or
No,
anything like that. But
play tag. It's fine.
yeah, for sure. No, but my background story, I was in big box retail before I went into real estate, and I was in that for a very long time. I was with Dick's Sporting Goods, went around to a ton of stores and opened it up as they were growing throughout the country, from Colorado to California and eventually up to Washington, where I've settled and landed. Ultimately, I really enjoyed the job and I learned a ton from it, but I really wanted to do something bigger. I love the impact that I was able to have
Yeah,
on a lot of my employees as far as like career growth and trajectory and development and skill and all that kind of good stuff. Ultimately, just wanted something a little bit more impactful for myself and for others around me. I had dabbled in real estate a little bit as I was there. I did a couple fix and flips, had a rental, and it was something I enjoyed. And it was really just throughout my working experience with the agents throughout that process that made me want to jump into it full time, just because I thought I could do it better and I felt that I could bring
yeah,
more value not only to my clients but the industry in itself. And I guess what we talked about before with this podcast is helping other agents in this industry not just be more successful, but help them be better, and not just have that success of signing an extra deal or two, but how to make the industry better in itself and just being helpful for other agents. And I think when I first got into real estate, I was almost implanted that other agents are the enemy and their competition, and you don't get along with them, or you keep everything you have away from them. And that's funny that how many agents really have that scarcity mindset. And that was really something that I wanted to change, especially as my wife Jessica and I
You talking
started
about me?
Williams Ave Real Estate. You know, I'm talking about you. Yeah. No, you got a championship mindset. You don't have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think I jumped when I first jumped in full time. There was no part time transition for me. It was all or nothing when I jumped in. My first year, I think I might have done 2 deals, and then that evolved into almost 30 the following year, and then 50 plus the next year, and just had a pretty awesome growth path. The market changes each year. There's different challenges. There's different things you have to figure out and pivot. And as a business owner, you have to solve problems, and there's going to be problems every single day, and you're never going to be successful without solving additional problems. And I think a lot of people think that they'll be successful when there's no problems
Yeah.
to solve, and that'll never ever be the case, because it's always evolving and always changing. And that's how you stay successful, is by solving problems every single day.
I think you brought up a good point. Is like a lot of agents and people don't understand in this business that evolving is like the biggest thing of getting better. And you see a lot of people just, if one, they had a really good year, they just did the same thing. And again, I always bring it back to football because I've seen greats do it. For example, when I was with the Seattle Seahawks, I would go out in the practice field an hour early just so I could practice. And I would see guys out there like Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, and they would be out there just working with their hands, just their hands, just work on the little tiny things to find some kind of way to improve or just to get better. And seeing a guy who has mastered their skill set and they're still working on the littlest things because they're trying to become a better player,
Yeah,
because that one little bit will separate them from good to great. And
100%.
so it's seeing people like that still perfect their craft and build their foundation to just be better is, again, I bring it to real estate because it's the same thing. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, just because you had one good year, don't think you could just do the same thing, because there's new, like for example, there's new tech out, there's AI, there's all these businesses, they're merging. The whole structure of everything that we do is changing every year. And
Yeah.
so I think evolving with it and learning how to adapt of what you can incorporate to be better, to get that much better, it's key.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you see it all the time where agents have been in the industry for a while, and you know exactly who I'm going to be talking about, but you see their profile picture or their business card, and it's their headshot from the 1970s or the 1980s. And you get these agents that have built just a referral business, but
Yeah.
they're that agent that was like, they found a little bit of a groove and they stayed in that groove
Yeah.
for the rest of their life, and they did not change, they did not
Yeah.
grow, and it's cool, that works
They
for
just
some
feel
people.
comfortable.
100%, they
Yeah.
got in their comfort zone, 1000%. And
Yep.
for some people that works. I think for you and I personally, I don't think that'll ever be the case.
No, I think it just depends on the kind of person you are. I mean, it
Yeah,
really does. A lot of people I see doing really well in this business are detail oriented people. I see athletes do well because, again, we have attention to detail drilled in our mind. Because if you don't do your job, someone behind you will. That's the
right.
mindset. Yeah, other people are good in this business. Yeah, I think military people are great in this business. I see a lot of military people who have got into real estate and they have that attitude, like the competitive attitude, but also the evolving part of it, because it's just strategy at this point. You're just trying to find a way to win. And
Yeah,
a lot of those guys like that are executives or people who come from the corporate world. You know, you're in that structure where you learn attention to detail with everything. I think people who are in those kind of groups do really well in here because they come from that area that you don't have to learn it. It's already built into them because they've been doing it for so long, just like how
Yeah.
you were.
No, 100%. Speaking of adjusting and just going through the times and always adjusting and growing, what do you think about AI in the industry?
I think it's putting a lot of fear into people. I don't think it's as fearful as what people are thinking. Because I've been to AI conventions, I've been to all these big conferences that deals with AI, and I think people are thinking that this thing could replace them. I don't think so. It's a people business. At the end of the day, it is.
Yeah,
Um, I think what it can help is utilizing it in your everyday life, like marketing and come up with different strategies. It's basically how I see it is someone that I can bounce ideas off of and try to come up with unique ones because it is pretty creative and unique.
yeah,
And it kind of gets me thinking outside the box a little bit without having to talk to people because I don't have the ability to be like, call anyone up and be like, hey, I have this idea. And every now and then I will. I'll get on the phone with you and talk,
yeah,
but I think it's a tool more than anything. I do think AI will replace a lot of jobs in other sectors of different the categories of jobs.
for sure.
But in our world, I don't think it will. I just think it will. Again, it's one of those things you either grow with it or you die, kind of thing. I believe technology is going to be king. It's just learning it and getting that competitive edge against the other people who are in your market.
No, 100%. I agree with that tenfold. Honestly, with AI itself, I use it every day, probably multiple
Yeah,
times a day. I use a couple different platforms. I'm a fan of Chat. I'm a fan of Claude. I just started diving into Claude a little bit. It's somewhat similar, but it's very different at the same time. So I'm playing around with a little bit. I've actually honestly even built a few GPTs that I use for my business. Some of it is for my SEO, some of it's for blogs, some of it is for my social media on a couple different platforms. I even built a GPT where I can drop in an inspection report and it will filter through everything on that home inspection and give me priority items as well as concern and estimated cost breakdown based upon what's in there. So, like you mentioned, if you use it as a tool and you evolve with it, it's powerful stuff. And it's really just going to make our job a
yeah,
lot easier.
propel you. Yeah,
100%. And honestly, if someone didn't want to use an agent, they don't have to. People have been doing for sale by owner for years and years and years. If someone wants to use AI to not use an agent, AI can probably draft a purchase and sale agreement and submit it to for sale by owner, and voila. That's never going to change. But I think you kind of already
yeah,
mentioned it. I don't think it's going to take any job from a real estate
no,
perspective as far as a licensed agent because it can be done without an agent, but you're going to be glad you had an agent when a lot of different situations come up and you don't know how to navigate it.
yeah. I think there's a human factor in this job. You just have to have.
Yep.
It's keying on, for example, how many times have you had a seller who can't do an open house because a family member is sick or something bad happened? It's just like to be able to be human
Yep.
and show emotion is huge. And that's what is that bonding factor because you're not feeling real estate in itself is just, it's a lot of pressure already. At the
Yeah.
very end of the day, if you have a human emotion or a human side of things, we can tend to make that a little bit less stressful by reading and perceiving of what that person is feeling or what's going on. And so, you know what? I'm not going to bring anything up right now because it's just not the time. If
Yep.
you were to, like, for example, AI and stuff, or they keep pestering you, it's just more stress. My goal into this and telling clients is that my goal is to make this as easy as possible,
For sure.
because at the end of the day, I want their business, I want their future business, and I want the referrals from their friends and family. So if I can deliver that, then that would be great. And I think that's the part that a lot of people think that's going to replace them.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
human factor is just so heavy, and you can't replace that side of it.
So many people get like selling a home it can be super, super stressful. Even buying a home can be super, super stressful. There's so many things that go into it. If you're a
Mhm.
seller, you're having people come through your home. You have no idea who they are, how long exactly they're going to stay there for, what they thought of it, what questions they have, if they want to move forward, if they don't. And you're dealing with that multiple times to try and find the right buyer. And there's such a huge human component that goes into it that I honestly don't think it'll ever get replaced. And honestly, not for a very long time, even if it does. Who knows what the next 50 years have in store. But I think what you
Yeah.
mentioned before is a little bit more of the operational pieces is what gets eliminated first. And you think all these tech companies that are doing a lot of the layoffs between trying to leverage what AIs already do between coding, or I think Amazon, where they're going to be
Yeah.
replacing like the factory floor workers with robots, because that kind of stuff, there's no human component. There's no relationship that goes into grabbing an item and putting it into a box. It's just that
I
operational
think at
side.
that point, it's just more efficiency at that point. When
For
you're
sure.
looking about manufacturing and stuff like that, it's about efficiency because it does cause less human errors on that side of things. So
Yep.
that I do understand, and it does make sense because, again, robot can work 20 hours a day or 24 hours a day, and a human only works 10, 12, 14 hours, depending on how the company hates their employees. At the same time, they just don't get tired. It's just one of those things where efficiency in that world is huge. But on this side of it, I mean, it doesn't bring any efficiency. I think it just kind of loses its connection part of it. But on top of it, there's so much human aspect that you have to have in this kind of world to be able to make things easy
Yeah.
and have that relationship with all your clients. But again, I truly believe that a lot of these smaller brokerages will vanish. I
Yep.
do. I think with AI and technology, I think bigger brokerages will expand and do better. And I think these smaller ones will definitely flutter out. I really do.
Yeah. I agree with that 1,000%. I think we're already seeing it between a lot of the acquisitions that are starting to happen. Honestly, I think Remax is one that's going to get purchased or go out of business first based upon the business model. Or I guess that probably the next step, if I were to guess, as far as like big box name. I think Remax is next on the chopping block for either A, an acquisition, or B, they're going to disappear one way or the
Yeah.
other. So we'll see what that turns into. But to your point, as a business owner, you look at that AI stuff and how do you put that into your business owner, I guess, mindset versus that self-employed employee. So an example, I have in my AI system, I upload my purchase and sale agreement and it scans it for errors. And so like and with another set of eyes taking a look at that kind of stuff, I upload it, it saves it into the cloud, it reviews it for errors. So if there's a potential error, it flags it for me so I can fix it, just make sure that I'm staying in compliance. And again, there's that operational stuff that takes up time that there isn't necessarily a human component, like from a relationship aspect involved with. And how do you put that into your business to be more efficient, like you mentioned?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it's just, again, it comes down to learning how to use it and live with it than it is to, I'm not doing this. I'm against this. I'm not going to worry about it kind of an aspect because
Mhm.
it definitely depends on where you are in the citywide. So, like, for example, where you are, your mindset is right. Where I live, there's a lot of these really small rural towns where these agents have been agents for 30 years and they've been comfortable and with what they're doing, but they're completely ignoring the aspects of technology and how it is evolving. And I do understand where their side of it because it's all, they go to church, they get the referrals. It's a completely southern way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, technology exists out here still. And
Yeah.
again, so I think it's one of those things you either grow with it or you die. It's simple.
Oh, I fully agree. You either adapt with the change and you evolve, or you die. And that's exactly what happened to Nokia. Nokia is known for the same exact thing because they never changed from what they were known for. The bulletproof brick phone will probably be around for a million years and still work just fine, but they never evolved with the times, and that was their downfall.
Another part of it is what everyone can relate to are malls. Look at malls. They're completely useless now. A lot of these malls are being shut down because Obviously, I don't know what they could have done differently to adapt the times, but I'm sure they definitely could have come up with something in making something readily available. But at the same time, you're seeing all these big stores and box stores, stuff that we grew up doing. How many times have we want to go hang out with our friends at the mall growing up? That was a huge part.
Yeah.
You go
Yep.
have fun at the mall, but now you go to the mall now and you're trying to take the kids to show what a mall looks like. There is none.
Yeah, I
It's
know
just
we
like,
got a couple up here,
it's
but not
wild.
like it used to be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's the same thing at Blockbuster and
It's,
Netflix. Same
oh, yeah.
thing.
Oh, for sure. The other one was, I think it's just, yeah, I think at the very end of the day, it's just the best thing to do is to learn how to grow with it. Go to the classes, learn how to utilize it more. It is challenging. It is hard to learn. So if you're not taking progressive steps on helping yourself educate yourself to get better, then you're really not doing anything. You utilizing it every day is different versus you learning, oh, like, oh, I didn't know I can do that.
Yeah.
There's so many times I went to a class, I'm like, get the hell out of here. I didn't know you can do that. But again, now I
Yep,
know.
for
And
sure.
I'm still learning stuff because they're coming out with stuff every month.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
I agree. If you're not growing and evolving, you're dying. It's that simple. So,
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. But otherwise, the other stuff that we want to talk about is we always talk about things that we can do, things that you do now, or things that like little tiny tips and tricks that you do to separate yourself from others. Or is there something you have creative that you do that other people just don't, that someone could learn from or learn about or utilize?
Honestly, yeah, there's going to be a million things, and I think we can dive into, I guess, a few specifics and even just categorize like some of our episodes that we do from a lead generation aspect to a process standpoint to I hate to call them scripts, but you should have some type of foundational conversation that you fall back onto and you know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it, as well as
Yeah.
buyer appointments and contracts and signing. There's a million different things that we can dive
Yep.
into. And I think we'll probably categorize a few of these episodes coming up to hone in onto a couple specifics just to keep it a little bit more organized. So if someone wants to learn specifically more about a listing process or listing appointment or a verbiage or how to get listing appointments to begin with, we can structure a few of these podcasts coming up to really hone into a few of these key aspects of the business and really leverage those pieces and communication aspects to go forward. And then obviously jump into the group afterwards. So that way there's that continued dialogue. I think
Yeah.
today was
And
pretty high
again,
level.
a lot of agents can comment on this video or link or whatever it's going to be and just say tips and tricks that they actually know and help. And we can utilize it and have we can talk about some key points of what other people bring up of what works for them.
Yeah.
Like we can leverage, this is a mastermind. And eventually we will bring other people in here and talk about some stuff and try to get a good feel for, again, this is a mastermind to everyone to get better.
Yep.
So I think the big takeaway is that we're just down to earth guys that just, we want to network with other people because we do want to, there's millions of realtors. So there's always someone that's going to have something unique or creative that they do that other people just don't. And we might offer these same things. But again, we're just masterminding something that works and things that just don't.
Yeah.
And I think we, at the end of the day, we're just trying to be better.
And I can promise you there's going to be things that you bring up that I had no clue about that I'm going to start implementing and putting into my business and vice versa. I think this is going to be a pretty cool tool going forward.
I agree. No, I definitely agree. I think it's just something we're just trying to get people's attention and try to start a conversation with other people. Of, all this is just a conversation.
Yeah.
We're just trying to see with other people and trying to see what other people have. Again, this is a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, the industry can be isolated at the same time. There's a ton of different brokerages out there where they bring on an agent that just got licensed, they hang their license, and they say, all right, go sell homes. And they have no clue what they're doing, how they're doing it, when to do it. And they don't have anyone
They just
to lean
slap
on
you on
and
your ass and
leverage.
say,
Yeah, for sure. On your way out the door, go find a buyer or a seller. Started doing it again.
microphone.
I know. It shut off. I don't know why.
Yeah. The most important aspect is that the brokerages there are some brokerages that, even big name, there's Keller Williams brokers that I know that don't do a good job educating and keeping agents involved and learning more. There's definitely good, there's bad, there's good and bad of pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I've seen it all. It just depends on the actual brokerage and their leadership. And I think a lot of people fall in this trap and be like, yeah, Keller Williams is a great company. No, it is a great company, but it depends on the actual brokerage you're with if it's a good fit. Again, there's good
For
ones
sure.
and there's bad.
Yeah.
It's just finding the leadership that wants to propel you up.
I agree 100%. There's going to be different things that are important for different people. There's going to be brokerages that are a zero split, or they don't have a cap or whatever, and it's like a 98% commission that goes to the agent. Each one's going to be structured differently, but it's also important for that particular agent if we know what they get out of it, like what's important to them. And for some agents, do a deal a year, it's cool, like keeping 100% of the commission and not getting any value because they do this on the side. Sure, I can see how that works. And there's other agents that obviously are brand new, they want more training, they need more hand holding, they're probably going to pay a little bit more of a higher split for that. And then there's stuff that's in the middle. So yeah, they for sure want to make sure that the brokerage you're with aligns with your vision, aligns with your priorities, what you want, and ultimately, like you said, should help you improve your business and propel your business versus collecting a check from you.
Yeah, just there's good and bad agents everywhere where you go to as well. I have a key network of, I work with tons of NFL players, a lot of professional athletes in MLB, NHL, NFL, and I have key agents in every single city that I've met with, I've talked to, because again, if I send them someone they're not going to get starstruck, they're not going to ask a bunch of questions and do the annoying thing of just pestering them with questions because it's someone of fame. It's true.
Dude, yeah,
but
I can imagine. Like, I know exactly talking about a little fangirl on the side.
I'm not the type of agent that's gonna be like, yeah, I'm only gonna do Keller Williams only. No, I have people who work with completely different firms in every single city because they are the best to me, who I feel like my core group of who I feel is going to be the best. And I'm still interviewing, I'm still talking to other people to see how everything is. I'm still asking questions. Hey, how did this agent go? How did that process go? Tell me the process. Were you happy with it?
Yeah.
And it gives me feedback so I can keep my core group pretty tight. And because again, I'm not the type of person that will just be Keller Williams. No, I have Coldwell Banker agents. I have real agents. I have some agents in New York that work for super high end, like it's their own brokerages, but they're super high end. They're super luxury ones.
Yeah,
they're all different brand names, but it's just the agents themselves are the ones that I want to do business with. It's not the actual company itself.
Yeah, there's that personality aspect that's behind it that makes it real.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
All right, man. I think that's good for episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good starting point to kind of kick off and get some good ideas of, get feedback from the groups and stuff, and see what other questions people have and make key points for our next show.
Yeah, for sure. And like, we'll take feedback and suggestions of topics to dive into a little bit further and a couple specifics. But yeah, I think what I brought up before, as far as structuring a few things out to dive into some specifics and some stuff that would actually be actionable, I think will be pretty cool. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I do too. I'm pretty excited. Again, I think this is just a way to kind of meet a bunch of other people and link a bunch of people. I want to get this thing going up to a point where I have tons of connections throughout the whole U.S. If anyone needs anyone in any state, give me a shout. I most likely have a really good agent that's
same.
Because again, I do with tons of sports throughout the whole U.S. and you have tons of connections, and that's all we are. We're just a help, and we want to be that for a lot of people because they don't really get that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just stuff.
Yep, for sure. No, I fully agree.
But, yeah, we'll sign off, and we appreciate you guys listening, and looking forward to round number 2 without any errors. And get this thing going. I'm pretty excited now.
For sure. Let's make it happen.
It's not stressful.